Hey coaches, this is Coach Sheffer from Obsessed with Offense, and I was thinking the other day maybe I should talk a little bit about defense. And I've seen a lot of stuff about the inside zone play, and I wanted to talk about how I would defend the inside zone using a 3-4 defense. And in this discussion today, I'm talking mainly about how I would do it at a high school or lower levels, so maybe youth level or middle school levels. So, welcome to the channel. My blog is obsessedwithoffense.blogspot.com. Please go ahead and check that out. I have plenty of great posts on there. Follow me on Twitter at Darren Sheffer. Please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and check out my other videos. And I really thank you for the support. Alright, so let me move this here out of the way. Alright, so what we're talking about today, I want to talk about the 3-4 defense. So if you know what that is, that's 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers. And I have used this defense before in the past, and I like it. And so let's make some assumptions here. So let's say we're playing a team that is 2-by-2. They're in the spread 2-by-2, 10 personnel, so they've got a quarterback and a halfback. Quarterback is in the shotgun position. We're not talking about pistol. And the halfback is either to the left or to the right. So there is a strength and a weak side on this play. So they are showing some tendencies here. And their favorite play to run is the inside zone. And I'm not talking about a zone read. I'm talking just inside zone. So the scouting report's showing that this is the formation that they like to come out in, and we can assume that they will move this running back left or right. Maybe he's a little bit wider, a little bit closer. He might be offset, but we are not talking about him being here in the pistol set behind the QB. That would cause me to do a totally different defensive scheme. So based on this scheme, what are my objectives? So what I want to do, I want to take away their best play. I want to take that run away. I want to take that inside zone away from them. Why? Because I want to force them to pass the ball. I want them to beat us with their quarterback. Most times at the high school or lower levels, their quarterbacks are not good enough. Not always. Sometimes they can be, but usually they're not good enough to beat us with the pass, to beat us with their passing game alone. So if I can take away their best play, I can force them to do things that they don't want to necessarily do. Now, this scheme might not necessarily work against a team that has a great quarterback and wants to throw the ball. This is mainly against those teams that are one-dimensional and that they want to do the inside zone play, and that's their major thing. Now, on our defense, we want to have up front, we want to have each running lane accounted for. Because of the inside zone, if you understand inside zone, you know that there are multiple running lanes that play can go to, and that's why a lot of coaches really like these zone concepts, is because they can go in multiple directions, and we won't know which direction they go until the holes open up. And so I want those running lanes accounted for. So I need my D linemen and I need my inside linebackers to be very disciplined and very gap sound in this scheme. And so it's going to take a little bit of practice time. And another thing I want to do is I don't want to get beat deep. Okay, if we're able to take away the inside zone and they start throwing it, I would rather them dink and dunk it down the field than be able to get deep passes. And so what I'm going to do with my outside shell, I'm going to either use a cover 3 concept. I do like cover 3 personally, or I'm going to do a cover 1. Have my free safety in the deep middle of the field and have my other guys man to man. This depends again on how athletic my defensive backs are versus how athletic their wide receivers are. If we're dealing with an extremely athletic wide receiver core that's better than our guys, I'm probably going to go more to a zone cover 3. But if I know that my athletes can handle their athletes, I'll probably go to more of a cover one. All right, so alignment here. The alignment completely depends on their alignment. Okay, so if they are aligning in this formation here with the 2x2 set with their running back to the left, we're assuming that they're going to try to run inside zone this way, and their linemen are going to go this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 3 down linemen. I'm going to have a head up nose, and I'm going to have my ends on the outside shade. Either they're going to be head up or outside shade. I prefer outside shade, so I have an edge player here of those tackles. I'm going to have my inside linebackers head up 5 yards, 4 or 5 yards deep on those guards. Now, in the 3-4 defense, usually you're going to have an outside linebacker here and an outside linebacker here. You'll have 2 corners and then 2 safeties. So what I've done, I used to run it with 2 high safeties. I don't like that necessarily anymore. What I would do here is I would keep my one outside linebacker here, okay, to line up with this running back, and I'll show you why in a moment. I'm going to pull my weak safety down and have him cover the inside receiver here, and then have my corners on the outside receivers, and then my other outside backer, I would bump him out to cover this receiver on this side. Now, if they flip the halfback to the other side, then I'm going to have this linebacker come down, the safety on this side, and that linebacker go outside. So just if they flip, we flip. Okay. Now this is the alignment. So here's our assignment. So we're assuming I'm going to have cover 3. And so I'm going to have my deep safety, deep middle. My corners are going to bail. Not too much. They're going to bail. So the way that we do our zone, it depends on game film, what we've seen, what kind of routes they like to run out of this. So in this particular instance, if they're running a bubble scheme here on the inside zone, perhaps they like to run the bubble off of the inside zone. We're going to have a cover 3 where we have the inside defender. He's going to cover the bubble or the curl flat, and the corners are going to bail and cover deep. Now, on the inside here, so I know this is very simplistic blocking here, but we're assuming it's high school or lower. Now, high school, you're probably going to get into a little bit more complicated blocking schemes. It's probably going to look different. So let's assume lower levels, and let's assume they're going extremely simplistic here, and they're having their linemen gap to the right. If they're going zone right, they're having gap to the right. That's their gap. They don't have a man. They're not doing covered, uncovered, or anything like that. It's gap to the right. And so what I'm going to have is based on, this is all game plan. We're assuming this is what they do, and they don't vary from it. I'm going to have my D linemen, my D line, my 3 linemen, they are going to flow this way. Okay, so if their offensive line goes this way, I'm going to have my D linemen flow that way. So they're going to slant that way. I'm going to call that the strong side, or the weak. Let's call it the weak side. They're going to slant weak. And what I'm going to have them do, so this DN here, he is responsible for this outside gap here. So if you want to call it the C gap, he is responsible for the C gap. And so his job is, I want him to hold on to the outside gap, be responsible for the outside gap. Don't let the running back cut outside, but also don't get blown upfield or blown too far out to the outside. So he's got to hold his ground. The nose guard, he is responsible for the A gap. He's going to slant to the A gap. This end over here probably has a harder job because he's trying to cross this tackle's face. And so he is responsible for this B gap. Now you see my outside linebacker, I have him responsible for the C gap. You can either have him come on a blitz now, or you could have him come up to the line and sit and read and make sure that that running back doesn't try to cut back to the outside. Again, we're saying that this quarterback is not running a zone read. Okay, so we're not going for the quarterback. The inside linebackers basically have two jobs here, so they have to be extremely disciplined. They are covering the middle of the field just in case there's a pass. But we are trying to take the run away first. And so if they see run, they are coming now. Okay, they are filling that gap. They're coming now. And so this inside linebacker, he has the B gap. This inside linebacker has the A gap. And so we have all our gaps covered. I did run a similar concept to this. I didn't come up with this concept. I took it from a coach that I used to coach underneath, and it worked for him pretty well. I used this concept before against a team that ran inside zone out of both the twins and a trip set. And the trip set, we had to align slightly differently. We had our assignment slightly different. Maybe I'll do another video about that. But this worked out pretty well. We were able to take away their inside zone. And so I don't have any game film. I wish I did. But we were able to take away their inside zone. We did force them to pass, and they were not necessarily a great passing team. We ended up losing the game because our offense couldn't get going, and they did score a couple times where it wasn't necessarily that our kids were in the wrong spot. It was they had better athletes than us. But we were able to keep it close. So some closing thoughts. Personally, most young QBs are not good enough to beat the defense with their arm talent alone. So I want to force them to throw the ball. Okay, force them to do the thing that they're not very good at. So this isn't something that I really run all by myself. I did pick it up from a former coach. So I don't necessarily take credit for all this. You will need to make adjustments based on your scouting reports and your game plan. If the quarterback is a dude, you're probably going to have to do something differently. If they run zone read, you're going to have to account for the quarterback run. If they're running RPOs, I probably would not run a zone scheme. I would probably run cover zero because cover zero seems to take away RPOs. And my job is to get my players in the best position for them to succeed. My diagram alone is not going to win the game, obviously. And so my job is to get them into position to help them succeed, but then they have to go be athletes and make the plays. So thank you for sticking with me. And if you have any questions or comments, if you run a scheme similar to this and it worked for you, let me know. Tell us your story. If you run something similar and it didn't work, or you run something else that works better, let us know because we're all trying to learn here. So thank you for your time, and stay tuned for the next video.